What's up, everybody? So we're gonna be talking war bosses on Warbike, and we might use those dice here in a second. I was reading online, and a bunch of people are talking about how orcs are useless, and I will grant you 90% of the orcs index is entirely pointless and completely unplayable, and because their orc units pointed for shooting, which is hilarious. That's funny to me. That they pointed orc units for shooting. So, there is, though, however, one of my favorite models in the game, and I would say one of the most competitively priced models in the game. He is a Warboss on Warbike. That's right, Warboss on Warbike is one of the best models in my mind, especially HQ models being fielded right now. I'll tell you why. 97 points, alright? It's movement 14, 5 up ballistic skill, 2 up weapon skill, strength 6, toughness 6, 7 wounds. Doesn't have any invulns. It's got a 4 up armor save, leadership 8. Let's go back to that 98 points for that T6 7 wound model right there. I like that. It's pretty shiny, that. And he does work. They do stupid mad work. They get that work in, dog. They put it in. Why do they put it in? The four attacks with the 8 up leadership. And also, they get 10 shots, guys. You give them a custom shooter, which I think what they come with, and the 2 Daka guns, that's 10 shots. Even though you're terrible on orc shooting, you're going to hit 1 Daka gun, and you're going to hit 2 out of those 10, maybe. And so, like, 6 out of 10 shots come across. Your orcs kill maybe 3 or 4 guys. Every other turn, maybe get 5. Maybe. So, all of a sudden, your orc shooting has been augmented. A lot. Quite a bit, actually, because my orc shooting never went that well before. I could never count on killing anything, even though I had, like, groups of Ludas shooting 30 shots. They couldn't kill a damn thing. Well, these guys are shooting 30 shots, and, it's 300 points, but it's 300 points in Warboss, which also gives you break-in eds, D3 mortal wounds to pass morale, Wog, which allows all friendly orc units within 6 to advance and charge. Fantastic. I never advance with them because they shoot. They're actually a shooting unit, and they move fast enough so that I don't really see a need to advance with them, ever. They move 14 inches. I mean, sometimes for sure, but over half of the games I've played on them, nope, doesn't serve a purpose for me this turn. I'm just going to scooter on up there, and then, take my time shooting. What about their war gear? It's fantastic. They get, like I said, custom shooter. That helps them field the 10 shots. That's a 4-point deal. The Daka gun, strength 5, AP minus nothing. Damage 1. Same thing goes with the custom shooter. AP minus nothing, damage 1. They get stick bombs. They get an attack squig, which I'll read you the attack squig. It's a melee, type melee, strength 4, AP minus 1, damage 1. Each time this model fights, each time a model with an attack squig fights, it can make 2 additional attacks with this weapon. I forget about him half the time. So, really, you're making 6 attacks, 2 at strength 4, AP minus 1, 4 at strength 8, AP minus 1, damage 2, and AP minus 1, damage 1 on the attack squig. Or 4 at strength 12, AP minus 3, damage D3 if you're using a power claw. Who do I send these guys after? Well, I send the power claw guys after, things that need to get power clawed, because that happens. And I send my big chopper guys after elites, HQ units, because that strength 8, doubles out a space marine. He does get a few saves, but also I have that attack squig that'll, get a wound across every turn at least. Well, not guaranteed, But with the AP -1, the 2 attacks, it should help. And that's all for 97 points. 7 wounds, 6 attacks, movement 14, 10 shots, ability to advance and charge, 14-inch movement. 97 points. 97 points with the power claw. 103. 94 without the custom shooter, but why wouldn't you? I did that a couple times, and that's just because I didn't have a choice, and that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But if I do get the choice, I always take the custom shooters. And you get a fairly decent firing platform for 99 with the power claw, no custom shooter, 103 custom shooter power claw, 93 no custom shooter big chopper, 97 custom shooter big chopper on the warbike. It's whew. And how do I run that? I run that in a list with well, the list before FAQ update was like 8 groups of Storm Boys with 4 Storm Boys and a knob, because like I said, you got to take what you can take, and it actually, knobs don't cost that much. They cost the same as Storm Boys and the groups of Storm Boys. So what you're doing with those is you're actually fielding knobs basically with a blade of wounds. But if the orcs show up to field attacks, that's also great. That's actually what those are there for. Then I field groups of knobs. Each knob has a ammo runt. Why? Because the ammo runt is an extra wound for the knobs. Then on top of the ammo runts and all that, I field like a couple groups of boys, 10 groups of boys, with a couple war bosses and trucks. And how this works is your knobs, maybe maybe your knobs are in the battle wagon, maybe your knobs are in the truck with the war bosses. You send the trucks up with their strike units and the knobs up, and basically it all just advances in a blob. And since you have so many war bosses everywhere, you never lose the advance and charge. And your war bosses on Warbike are so fast that they get to basically dictate their engagement. They can be wherever they need to be. And they're actually the moving hammer of this whole thing. Because, the other war bosses are handy, and they do have war boss stat line, but they're lower toughness. I think they're only toughness 5. And they're not nearly as many wounds. Yeah, they're 1 toughness lower, 1 wound lower, 9 inches slower. And they really are only with the group that got out of the truck to add some schmack with the guys that jump out of the truck. And this list actually works pretty well. It's a fairly nasty list. The hardest time I have with this list is fighting Slanesh units. But that's just the hardest time I have with much of my orc models. You might say Tau, and I would agree in certain aspects with Tau, but when you're fielding like 40 Storm Boys in 5-man groups, 4 boys groups with a knob in there to make it 5, they're not that threatening, because you just rush them. And I did learn a few things about charging there. We'll put it that way. Yeah. Warboss. Fantastic. Warboss on Warbike. Fantastic. One of the best foil models in the game, in my opinion. For what you get, for what you pay for what you get, it's pretty good. And it keeps the dream alive with orcs too, which also helps. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Later.